Hello, this is Kurt, and I am making this video recording for as a guide, a basic guide for a beginner start with a one-handed weapon fire strike build in Grim Dawn. And for some reason, it just blew away everything that I did for some weird reason. So I'm going to add in the components in Grim Tools that I was using real quick. Bear with me. I don't know why it did that. Exactly. I want that one. I want the Shambler's Heart, the 18th level version of the Shambler's Heart. Preferably. There it is. And we want Gallus Rings. And I'll explain this as we go. Save. Belthosaurus Crest. Let's see, actually, I think it might be. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Is that everything? No. Shoulders. Incendiary shoulder plates. Okay. So this is what I had before when I attempted to do a recording through just the Windows recorder, which apparently no longer works. Anyways, side note. So again, this is a beginner's easy farm guide to, we'll say, maximize a fire strike build that you could start right away in normal difficulty. And let's go over it. Colorian Shieldbreaker is a one-handed mace. Gives you bonuses to fire strike and steel resolve if you want it. What I'm going to suggest for this build is a demolitionist and an oathkeeper. That is a Shieldbreaker. That's what I've chosen for this build. And so your oathbreaker would be, I'll just put a bunch of points in here. This is Grim Tools, by the way, if you're a beginner and you're not familiar. Grimtools.com. You can kind of plan your builds out. I mean, your first time through, I mean, you're just going to probably explore the world and maybe check out the lore and so forth. But this is just kind of a build idea. I wouldn't say it's a step-by-step guide, but I'm going to lay out the premise for the idea, and then I'm going to do a fresh start on Twitch. So anyways, judgment for the oath keeper, and this shield will augment that. It will modify and augment that by converting physical to fire damage, and adds bonuses to Heart of Wrath and Crushing Verdict, which are scales in that skill tree. Okay, and then the demolitionist, we're going to go up to, let's see, actually we want to go at least up to here. You can see Fire Strike, Temper, and Vindictive Flame. With the current gear that I have, it adds some modifiers to those skills, and this cask also converts lightning to fire damage. So if we go back here, and if I was up to static strike, say, any additional lightning damage that you do is convert 100% to fire as long as you're wearing that cask. So anyways, and so this is sort of the basic, easily farmable gear. And I will show you in just a moment where you can find this on the world map. So for now, let's take a look at devotions. Just for starters, when you're first starting out and you get a few points, I would go ahead and take this Fiend devotion right away. That's what I would do, because it'll give you a celestial power. And since this is a melee build, you're using a melee weapon and a shield, this is a nice one to have, and it will do weapon damage, whatever your weapon damage is. In this case, we are eventually going to get that mace, and fire damage. It's a nice one to have. Eventually, I would opt to take this out and put it, divide it into like Jackal and say Raven maybe for the OA, or let's see, how many do you need? You need 6. Yeah, probably those two, perhaps. And then go for Slyle's Witchblade, which will do fire damage and lower their fire resist. Later on, that will be important. In the beginning, it's not important. You'll be, especially if you're just in normal, not even in veteran, you'll be taking things down like crazy. If you go to veteran, you'll still be taking things down like crazy as you get these monster infrequent items. Eventually, I would go for Ulza's Decree for the physical damage. Assassin's Blade, because that will lower their physical resist. You're going to need those things if you're going to be do weapon damage like that, especially a one-handed weapon damage. You're going to need all the help you can get, because when you get into not so much elite, but when you get into ultimate, everything is like a bullet sponge. You just got to inflict a lot of damage, and you're going to need a lot of help. Also, if you stick with that mace, I would go ahead and take Rowan's Scepter. That will do physical and internal trauma damage. You're going to do some internal trauma damage from this Judgment. As you can see, physical internal trauma and percentage, so forth. So you're going to want to split your tree, I think. This is theory. We're theory crafting here, folks. You're going to want to split your damage between physical damage and fire damage. So anyways, okay, we need to look at the map. So where do you get these items? The incendiary cask, the helmet, and the shoulder plates you can get right away. The lowest level drop for these things that a player can use is 18th level for the cask, I believe, and 21st for the shoulder plates. So, you know, if you just kind of work your way up the coast, like per the storyline, when you get around 18th level, go ahead and build a bridge and go over right to the first place that you run into Cronley's gang right here. Just hang out there and do several runs until you get the cask and the shoulder plates. Boom, you got those right away. That necklace, the Shambler's Heart necklace, let's go back. This thing right here, you will go into the flooded passage and go to the end. Right before the end, the Shambler is the boss, and he drops that. And you need at least the 18th level version, because the 8th level version only affects the force wave from the soldier skill, which is not part of this build. So anyways, side note. What else? The shield, a couple of main places you can get this Flesh Warp Defender shield. You can, if you've got, well, it's Forgotten Gods, so you got to have all 3 expansions. Like, pick up the definitive version if you don't have it, whatever. But you can farm totems, Flesh Warped totems, in the Warden's Cellar, Underground Transit, or the lab areas. Basically, there's a few places that those totems spawn. You can farm those, and you might get some armored trolls, flesh warp trolls that'll drop those shields. Another slightly more reliable place is around Homestead, on the approach between Prospector's Trail and Homestead, and around in the Rotting Croplands, anywhere where ethereals are. There's a good chance that you're going to run into those trolls that drop those things. That's where you can get the shield. Minimum level to use that is 35th, so not something, if you're doing a fresh start, not something you're going to get right away. Let's see, we covered that. Balthazar's Crest, specifically, unique boss. Go to our Arcovian Foothills Rift, and nearby is Staunton Mine, and he's in there, you'll find him. That gives you bonuses to temper, physical damage to flame touched. Similarly, that Shambler's Heart Necklace, +3 to temper, physical damage to flame touched. So the weapon, that's important. Kilrian's Skullbreaker, he is an undead boss that you will find once you get to Twin Falls. You have to defeat Cronley first, and you'll get to Twin Falls. There's the Arcovian Undercity. He's on the 3rd level in a locked gate, a locked boss area. When you defeat him, he will 100% chance drop that weapon. And so that's where you would get that. These rings are not the cornerstone of the build, but I like them. They're good for boosting Vindictive Flame, which can boost, and also give you bonuses to health regeneration. So if your survival strategy is to regenerate like a troll, you're probably going to want these rings. And the Gallus rings, you have to go to the Rotting Croplands. This is after you get to Homestead. Go to Rotting Croplands, and you find the Hive, where Queen Ravna is, and one of the little side areas inside the Hive, it's a sub-level. There's 2 sub-levels. In the second sub-level that's further in, let's see, what is this called? I could show you here in the let's see, is it under Rotting Croplands? Yes, Royal Hive. Okay, let's go there. Royal Hive. Okay, so Skittering Den, that's what it is. If you go into Skittering Den and you go into this sub-level of Den of the Lost, and you go into there, and here he is, right here, this little red dot, Gallus. So that's where you get those rings, and so that's a little bit further on. Anyways, this is a beginner, kind of a beginner guide, but I think if you want to do a one-handed weapon with a shield and you want to do Fire Strike, this is what I recommend. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to try this out on Twitch and see how it goes, and that will do it for the introduction. So hope that helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Twitch.